Yesterday we had an opportunity through Obis and through Michelle and Bob to meet some of the farmers. Today, you're going to meet more of those farmers and find out what the next steps in the Obis journey are going to be. If you've been to a farm and you're one of the BIGGBY employees and home office staff, and if you've been to the farms with Bob and Michelle, don't forget after their presentation, go to the right side of the stage because you guys are going to be the high five tunnel that will be welcoming in more of these farmers that you're about to meet. Are you ready to see where Obis is heading in the next 12 months? Let's go. Let's see what we got.
What we had before 2018 was a system that was built on inequity. We just didn't know it. We were talking about drinking great coffee and loving people and being happy, and we meant every single one of those words. But in order for it to exist, everybody on the other side of the value chain had to suffer.
We realized in 2018, farmers were walking off their farms for two primary reasons. One was climate change, and also the farmer could not make money. If people can't make money farming, just like our owner-operators make money retailing, they're just not going to do it. And that's a real problem for a retail concept like ours.
We had to do something.
The supply chain is really complex. From producer, it has to get milled. From there, it has to be exported, it has to be imported, it has to go to a roaster. And so you can't just address this idea of end user buying from a producer. You have to bring those parties to the table. This last year was the first time that that happened. We had the retailer representing you and the consumer at the table, Obis, the verifier of Farm Direct and its authenticity. We had Paramount Coffee, and we had the producer. And the thing that happens when you bring everybody to the table is you're no longer in a silo. I think really the first time in this industry did we have all the parties minus an importer, exporter at the table, and that will happen this year. It was incredible for everybody to understand through their lens other people's problems and their problems through other people's lenses. When people work together to solve a problem and they understand all the problems, the problem is solved. We're really fortunate to have this because we had a crisis. The price of coffee doubled overnight. Our non-farm direct coffee just shot up immediately to a price that was almost unmanageable. When we're working together to solve a crisis at all ends of the supply chain, a name, a face, and a place for every coffee we serve, it has real meaning because there is real relationship behind that. Pricing wasn't without casualty. We did lose a farm partner in this process. The cost of the credit squeeze was just too much. Magically though, because of the relationships we have, we were able to guarantee 50% Farm Direct to the end of this year. But that meant we knew we had to hit the ground running.
We hinted at this last year, that there was a potential for a partnership in Mozambique on a very special project. This year, we were finally able to bring it over the finish line. The finish line in this case is a container of coffee that is currently being served in French roast.
In Guatemala, earlier we had met with 12 farmers, sort of raked through them to find the perfect values aligned partner, which we found. A gentleman by the name of Aurelio.
There's just such an intensity of focus on improving lives in their communities, on protecting the environment, on actually safeguarding coffee as a way of life for the people who have done it traditionally in the mountains of Huehuetenango for generations.
We're looking to find that needle in a haystack, a new Farm Direct partner. We've been to Guatemala, Honduras, Vietnam, Philippines, back to Honduras, back to Guatemala, Monterrey, Mexico, Sierra Leone, Guatemala again, Mozambique, Chiapas, and Colombia, all this year. And that doesn't include our in-market meetings that were in Toledo, Livonia, and Indianapolis. We also attended 2 major trade shows. One was in one of our Honduras visits at PRF, and then we also attended SCA in Houston.
We have our colleague in Africa, Juana Chapoya, out there figuring out prospects for us, representing us at trade shows all over Africa.
He went to Sierra Leone to coach on creating a seed bed. He did attend the African Fine Coffee and Tea Exposition, finding contacts leads in Tanzania. He went to Mozambique. He is off to Uganda, Kenya, and Ethiopia, all to investigate new farm prospects.
In the effort to fulfill our pledge to do 9 farm direct trips a year, we have enlisted 2 of our very dear colleagues and friends, Michelle Shaw, who is Obis's content strategist, and Rick Schaafsma from Paramount, who has been just instrumental in everything we do in Obis. And they have each led 3 trips.
One of the most exciting things this year is we went to the Philippines with Ed and Eileen Boyson. They're owner-operators in AR in the Metro Detroit area. We found 2 really magical prospects. We feel really secure in our mission to be 100% farm direct by 2028. We're proving that this model has positive impact, but if there's no data behind it, it's not real. With the impact report, we're providing that data so you can talk about it and get the word out.
Coffee is not an end in and of itself. It is a medium through which you can have impact. The opportunity we have on a very clear pathway.
This model does change lives. It's really good. It's really good.
And now, please welcome to the stage, co-founders of One Big Island in Space, Bob and Michelle Fish.
Good morning, you beautiful people. Welcome to the second big show day of the BIGGBY Nation Summit. We are so glad to be here.
Yeah, we are. Hey, listen, before we get started, Michelle and I want to let you know what amazing people you are. Not only are you changing lives in your stores and in your communities, but you're changing lives all over the world. The impact you're having is extraordinary. Thank you. Hey, listen, we all know that the coffee supply is under threat, and the 2 major culprits of that shortage are climate change and the supply-demand nature of the sea contract. And that creates unreliable boom and bust for coffee producers. Both events are causing coffee producers to abandon their farms, leaving less coffee for a growing population. Both events, the BIGGBY solution through One Big Island in Space is to build farm direct relationships that can guarantee a reliable supply of coffee at stable prices, ensuring economic stability for all. Farm direct means we have complete traceability of our product, a higher ethical standard, a higher environmental standard, and know that communities are well served. And although we always refer to stable prices and a reliable supply as competitive advantages, the real advantage, the competitive moat that we are building, is in fact trust with our consumer. Sure, other concepts say that they are doing what we are doing, but we all know that they are just social washing or greenwashing and fair washing, otherwise knowing that they are lying to their customer. There hasn't been any coffee company of scale in our industry to challenge that truth or lack of it. but Obis is. We're coming out swinging and slowly teaching the consumer that we are a brand to trust. In fact, with our work, we feel that competitors will eventually be forced to admit that they have been the problem while pretending to be a solution. They will have to admit that they lied. Trust and integrity with our consumer will be our secret weapon, our competitive moat. Obis is here to lead the way, to be the standard, to be the example of transparent, ethical, and responsible capitalism. You can rely and depend on us. We began this mission 7 years ago, and to date, we have 5 farm direct relationships, one with El Recreo in Nicaragua, one with Finca La Fortaleza in Mexico, and now also with the Gorongosa project in Mozambique, and Finca Villarre in Guatemala, and finally with Elevar in Honduras. We have 26 people in the room today from all over the world that we consider partners, and we hope that you take the time to meet them today. Perhaps you follow our travels, so you would know that we are continuously visiting farms, all to ensure being 100% farm direct by 2028. Finally, and I think this is really remarkable, you can proudly know that since the inception of the Farm Direct program, you guys, have sold or served nearly 67.5 million 16-ounce cups of Farm Direct coffee. Really incredible.
Okay, first up for me, a little light housekeeping for those of you that missed our presentation yesterday. We have published our very first impact report. And when we say that you are having impact in the world every day just by selling another Farm Direct cup of coffee, this impact report quantifies exactly what that means. And of course, we have new tools to help you put a name, a face, and a place on every cup of coffee that you serve, including our new 2026 calendar, our newly launched Obis Instagram with daily posts about what we and our partners over there are up to, and our Field Notes docuseries on YouTube, telling the stories of our Farm Direct partners. Plus, we have published our 2026 schedule of BIGGBY Nation trips to visit our partner farms. Come with us on a trip. I guarantee you that it'll be the trip of a lifetime, and it'll make you even more proud of the coffee you serve every day. You can find all of this at the Farmers booth here at B&S, and while you're there, if you sign up for us, or sign up for Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can register to win big prizes. Okay, enough of that. Bob just told you about the why of Obis. Obviously, we think that it's the right thing to do for you. Stable prices, guaranteed supply, and a competitive moat that builds trust with the consumer. It's a very compelling business case. And I have to say, it's revolutionary in the industry. But our other big why is that it's the right thing to do for the industry. It's hard to admit that for years we almost certainly served coffee that kept people trapped in crushing poverty. And it caused environmental degradation. But we did. And we had no idea. And the truth is that all of the big players in the coffee industry, buying their coffee the way that we always bought it, just like we used to do, they're serving the tears of children today. That's not sustainable. And it's not right. If coffee's going to survive as an industry, particularly in the age of a rapidly warming planet, then it has to change. We are the change. You are the change. In the 7 years that we've been doing this, we've lost track of the number of farms that we've been to. We've easily visited more than 200. And you'll notice that we have 5 partners. 5 out of at least 200. So what are we looking for? And why is it so hard to find? The short answer to that is values alignment, but really it's more than that. We're looking for extraordinary producers that are already doing the heavy lifting of changing the world. producers that are treating their people right, treating the planet right, and investing in their communities. There is only one clear red line that we have when we visit any farm, and that's the use of harmful herbicides and pesticides. That's our promise to you, that you will not have those chemicals in your coffee. And to make sure that we can keep that promise, our friends at Paramount randomly test all of our partners' coffee every year. So that one's easy. That's an easy one to define, a hard no on pesticides and herbicides. But to get at what's really happening on any farm or in any community that we visit, it's really more of an art than a science. It takes a lot of time. We walk a lot of fields, we share a lot of meals, we ask a lot of questions, and then we come back and we do it again. We're trying to identify a vision, a central vision for the farm or the community that is having extraordinary impact in the world. A vision that we can support by providing a marketplace. Personally, I'll tell you that one of the hardest things that we do is to be in a community full of really, really nice people that are all desperately trying hard just to get ahead, and to know that they're not a fit. What we see in the eye of every producer we meet is hope. And it's really hard, and sometimes kind of heartbreaking, to say no. But we're up to something. And on your behalf, we will not settle for less. Take the example of one of our newest partners, the Gorongosa Project in Mozambique. We've been working on this relationship for about 3 years now, and it has finally come to fruition. We are proudly serving Gorongosa coffee in our French roast blend. And when we talk about the importance of people, planet, and community, Gorongosa is a home run. But enough about that from me. Let's take a look at the video. A few years ago, Bob and I saw a story on 60 Minutes about Gorongosa National Park in Mozambique. Gorongosa had been home to one of the largest and most diverse wildlife populations on the planet. But a civil war from 1977 to 1992 had killed 1 million people and 95% of the animals in the area. Both sides slaughtered countless elephants for their tusks to fund the purchase of arms and hunted the park's mammals for food. And Mount Gorongosa had been severely deforested by slash-and-burn agriculture, and threatening the park's critical floodplain and all of the life that depended upon it. But now, a dedicated group of people was on a quest to restore the park's fragile ecosystem. They understood that restoring the park for animals meant creating economic opportunity for communities in the park's buffer zones. And they were going to do that with coffee. I'm Michelle Fish. My husband, Bob, is the co-CEO of one of the largest coffee shop chains in the United States. And together, we are the founders of One Big Island in Space. We're on a mission to change the way coffee is bought and sold around the world. We've been traveling the globe looking for millions of pounds of coffee from producers that are doing the right thing for their people, for the planet, and for their communities. When we find them, we connect them to a marketplace of buyers that will pay them the right price for their coffee, now and for years to come. It's a model that is beyond fair trade and beyond USDA organic. We call it Farm Direct. Our visits don't always work out, but we won't stop going until we can put a name, a face, and a place on every cup of coffee we serve. In July of 2023, our team embarked for Beira, Mozambique's port city on the Indian Ocean. From there, we took a small charter flight to Gorongosa Park.
How are we feeling, everybody?
Fantastic.
Great.
After landing, it was another bumpy 2-hour ride in the back of a Land Cruiser with Sofia Molina, a Spitfire Honduran with a long background in coffee, and Julius, the Gorongosa Coffee Park's field supervisor for the Kanda region.
Here we started only 10 years ago in a post-conflict area. So it's been a very long process just to stop cutting trees. Let's do something different.
They had approximately 1,000 smallholder farmers with an average of about an acre each, spread out in different regions of the mountain, and they were recruiting new farmers to the project all the time. They were producing about 1 container a year of exportable coffee, but they were having a hard time finding a marketplace where they could sell it. An early partnership with Nespresso had provided equipment and expertise to get their cupping lab and roasting facilities up and running, but they weren't producing much coffee.
My dream is for it to be like a bigger space,
for sure.
More employees,
Yeah.
creating local jobs, and having a lot more coming out from Gorongosa and supplying the whole region would be it's my dream.
Yeah.
They were doing incredible work, building schools, hospitals, and human capacity, while also restoring the ravaged landscape. But they needed to sell their coffee at a fair price to keep it all going. Our first stop on the mountain was a school, one of 89 schools that have opened in the remote villages surrounding the park. There is, of course, a focus on the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic. But they are also teaching these kids to understand how very special Gorongosa is. Their aim is to inspire the next generation of scientists, guides, agricultural technicians, and conservation workers. And they want to make sure that girls are not left behind. Girls in the area face numerous barriers to education and have lower attendance and high dropout rates. The project's answer has been the creation of more than 120 girls' clubs. For 2 hours a day after school, these young women are mentored by women working in a variety of disciplines. There was so much joy, so much laughter, and most importantly, so much hope in the faces of these children. Hope, coupled with opportunity, is a powerful combination. Deforestation of the tropical rainforest on Mount Gorongosa had reduced the humidity levels, which, in turn, affected cloud formation and reduced rainfall. That dried up the river, which threatened the habitat for hippos, alligators, and countless species of birds in the park, as well as the large mammals that graze on the floodplains and the large predators that hunt them. Reforestation on Mount Gorongosa was critical, but you had to get the surrounding communities to buy in. That's where the coffee comes in. It was intended to be an economic engine while the rainforest canopy regrew around it, reforesting Mount Gorongosa and saving the park. Mozambique is a perfect place to grow coffee. It is near the equator, between the tropics of Capricorn and Cancer, and parts have an elevation of more than 2,000 feet. But there was no coffee production in Mozambique. Why? Because it is a former colony of Portugal. And Portugal already had a colony that produced coffee, Brazil, which grows about 40% of the world's crop. And because there was no history of coffee production, there was literally no awareness of coffee. Few people drink it, and the people who lived in the buffer zones around Gorongosa Park had never even heard of it. So the team was trying to convince farmers that had slashed and burned the forest to grow subsistence crops, to replant trees, and grow a crop they'd never heard of, to maybe get paid 4 years later. That's a tough sell. But that is exactly what Sofia Molina, Julius, and the rest of the team at Gorongosa did. They showed us the original demonstration plot of 5 hectares, where the project began in 2015. It was used as both a proof of concept that coffee could grow and as a teaching opportunity for would-be coffee farmers. Today, it is under a dense canopy of trees as the native ecosystem reclaims the land.
So all of this we planted with the project, and now it's coming back to life. You can feel the freshness in the air.
Ecologically, the project has been a wild success. And over the intervening decade, the water returned to the mountain and flowed down to the park, where the animal populations have rebounded spectacularly.
There's a couple of monkeys crossing behind you.
All of this was made possible by coffee. Or, should I say, it was made possible by coffee and by courage. We met women tending their coffee cherries on the drying beds. Julius pointed out Tatianza. In 2013, as the project was busily growing coffee seedlings in the field nurseries, the ghosts of the Civil War were waking up. We met a woman today who was part of the original 3 coffee farmers in this project that started in 2013. And she literally put her life on the line multiple times for this coffee during times in which the conflict here, the Civil War here, got hot. You couldn't move around, you couldn't leave your village. She and her 2 other fellow producers would sneak out at night to go water the seedlings to keep the coffee project alive, risking their own lives. And we got to meet her. I don't think I've ever met anybody quite that brave, you know? Tatianza became one of the project's first farmers, and she remains one of their best. In the time that she's been growing coffee, she's been able to save up money to buy a motorcycle for her son's taxi business, and she has achieved a kind of financial stability that was unthinkable before coffee. Yet, many challenges remain. Logistics and banking are difficult to arrange in this remote region, and pests have had a significant impact on their yields. Fortunately, we happen to be traveling with a very well-trained coffee farmer, our partner, Juana Chapoya. He had faced all of these same issues in his coffee fields in Zambia. Julius and Juana fell down a rabbit hole of conversation, and by the time we left the fields that day, they had a plan for next year's crop. It is powerful to watch as coffee farmers share information about real solutions to complex problems. Our last day in Gorongosa, we spent at the park. We don't usually engage in tourist activities on our farm direct trips, but it seemed that we would be missing the point if we didn't see for ourselves the impact on the animals. We came within 10 feet of a sleeping lion.
In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
We saw all manner of impala, waterbuck, nyala, and greater kudu. But the most majestic moment came as the sun was setting. Every direction I looked, there were countless animals moving across the landscape, grazing and drinking in the precious water. Looking out at that field of animals, thinking about the faces of the girls in their clubs, marveling at the courage of Tatianza and her friends, it seemed to us that we might have found our next needle in the haystack. It was truly breathtaking. We could have stayed all night, but it started to rain.
The sun went down an hour ago. Torrential downpour. East Africa, Mozambique. It's pretty awesome.
That is a trip. That is a trip to be on.
And you should sign up for that today, by the way. 2025 has been a very, very busy year for us. Not only have we added the Gorongosa project as a farm direct partner, we have yet another brand new partnership with a remarkable family, the Villatoros from Huehuetenango, Guatemala. Aurelio, his 2 sons, Yenner and Rodin, and his nephew, Denis, are up to something really remarkable. It's a beautiful farm on the border between Guatemala and Chiapas. Don't take my word for it, let's roll the tape. In December of 2024, we were halfway through a flurry of first visits in Guatemala. And then we were in the town of Huehuetenango with our host, Edwin Martinez from Onyx Coffee. Edwin took us to the home of Aurelio and Chely Villatoro. It was hard not to stare at Aurelio. He had an air of quiet strength about him. He was born into a family of very limited means in Huehue. Despite the challenges, his dad was able to pay for him to go to college, where he got his bachelor's degree in industrial engineering. But his heart was always back at home with his family. And when his dad asked him to come back and help out on the coffee farm, he jumped at the chance. He came home with the eyes of an engineer. It turns out there's a lot of overlap in how machines work, whether they're airplane engines or coffee depulpers. As he looked around at his neighbors, he saw a way of life that was changing, maybe forever. Persistent, generational low prices and the complications of farming in the age of climate change were driving people off their land. Aurelio was determined to make a difference. That's a sure sign that we should plan a second visit. I have been a coffee drinker all my life, but I didn't know that the coffee industry, as it exists today, is ruining the environment and keeping people trapped in poverty. That is the status quo of coffee. We can't let that stand. We've got to change it. We're traveling the world looking for producers who are doing the right thing for their people, for the planet, and for their communities. When we find them, we connect them to a marketplace of buyers that will pay them the right price, now and for years to come. It's time to put a name, a face, and a place on every cup of coffee. In May of 2025, our merry Opus band took the 20-seater airplane once again to Huehuetenango, where we were scooped up by Edwin's team and taken the 2 hours up the mountain to Hoja Blanco, the village where Aurelio and his family have their farms, their processing facilities, and their warehouse. On the way up, we were treated to a very rare spectacle, an entire mountainside of coffee, all in bloom.
2 days. That's all the flower lasts? Yeah, only 2 days. When we're back, gone.
It was so beautiful, and the air was heavy with a jasmine-like smell. It seemed like a good omen to us. Our first stop was at Aurelio's son, Rodin's farm, Punta del Cerro. He told us about what he and his cousin Dennis are up to, and their plans for community investment. They're developing a water treatment project that will make it possible for their neighbors to use biodigesters to treat their wastewater before it's released into the river. They're also hoping to build wind turbines for the community to lessen their reliance on the expensive electricity that the town currently gets from their neighbor, Chiapas, Mexico. Rodin has big plans for his farm, and he has been coaching his family and neighbors on better agricultural practices to help them improve their soil. Rodin would like his farm to be a model for the community. His plans include adding a fish farm and growing hydroponic food crops, using the wastewater from the fish as fertilizer for the crops. We also visited his Aunt Lizette on her chicken farm. As a bonus, the family uses the chicken manure in their coffee composting. Always, the family is looking for ways to support each other and to help their community through entrepreneurial activities. Working with Edwin and Onyx, they have been able to secure better export markets for the community. Coffee is becoming sustainable, not just for their family, but for the interconnected villages in that part of the mountain. Perhaps the best example of the family's leadership is the story Aurelio told us about the pandemic. Harvest in Guatemala typically ends by April, and as we all know, the world shut down in March of 2020, which meant that right when farmers had the most coffee to sell, coffee buyers stopped coming. The town was desperate. They needed the cash from their crop to sustain themselves. People from the town came to Aurelio and asked him to take their coffee to try and sell it with his. They were giving him their crop and trusting that he would find the best price and pay them whenever he got paid.
And he was getting calls from Guatemala City saying, hey, we're looking for coffee, and I hear you've got 2 warehouses that are full. And I said, yeah. And they offer him a price. He ended up telling several, I can't, and didn't sell them a single bag of coffee because he didn't feel good about the price that they were offering. Yeah.
And in the end, not only was he able to sell the coffee, he sold it for a price that was significantly higher than the sea market price. The next day, Aurelio took us up the mountain to see one of the plots of land where he grows his coffee. And when I say up, I mean up. We've climbed some steep slopes in our time, but this was by far the steepest. The narrow pathway emerged on an absolutely stunning ridgeline right on the border with Chiapas, Mexico. I confess, our team was a little giddy, stepping back and forth between the border markers like kids on a playground. We sat down on the earth to admire the view. The coffee was healthy. The soil was loamy, and it crumbled so beautifully between my fingers. There were all manner of birds soaring and singing overhead. Aurelio pointed out the farm next door. It had once been the biggest in the region, but the combination of low prices and climate change had driven them out of business. Now, the coffee was untended. That can pose real challenges for Aurelio and other coffee farmers. If disease or pests take hold in the untended coffee, they can easily spread. Abandoned coffee land is a sign of the times. Each dinner and each breakfast was prepared by Chelly in the home of Aurelio's aging mother. Aurelio's family take turns living with her so that she's never on her own. This family is up to big things, and we knew we wanted to be in the coffee business with them. During our last breakfast together, we sat down with Aurelio to talk about how a partnership with Obis might work.
The way we look at what we're doing is that we're providing a marketplace directly to the producer, right? So, which is rarely what happens. And so getting started is important, and then iterating on that is the next most important thing.
Edwin Martinez and his team from Onyx will help us to coordinate the logistics in Guatemala. And starting with the harvest in 25-26, Obis will be buying up to 3 containers of coffee from Aurelio's community.
Thank you guys. It's very special for us to find people like you. So we're really excited about to start this project for future. We are completely committed to do what we're necessary to do.
Welcome to the family, Hoja Blanco. We are looking forward to seeing what the future brings.
Of course, we would like to thank Aurelio and the Villatoro family, and they were with us here at BNS up until this morning, but unfortunately the matriarch that you saw in the film is ailing in her last few minutes. So this morning we put them all on an airplane to go back home to be with their grandmother and their mother.
So you guys, we anticipated that coffee would be at risk due to climate change and sea market pricing way back in 2018. And this year, it all came true, and it manifested in the form of an almost doubling of green bean pricing. But with our farm direct relationships already in place, we were well positioned to face those pricing challenges together. Farm direct is a pricing model that provides stable access to product and less volatile pricing. The people that made that happen are with us today. I'd like to invite Jorge and Juana to the stage so that they can introduce our 2025 Farm Direct partners to you, and I hope you'll all join us in standing up and applauding them in.
Please rise.
From Nicaragua, please welcome Miriam and Hector Morales.
And Liana and Carlos Ferrey.
From Chiapas, Mexico, Finca La Fortaleza, please welcome Benjamin Gomez. And from Sierra Leone, please welcome Minister Kadiatu Ali.
Representing Olancho, Honduras, please welcome Lance and Lisa Bofinga.
From Gorongosa, Mozambique, please welcome Edna Catando and Julia Sabao.
And Gary Dodd.
From Johannesburg, South Africa, please welcome Michael Hood.
And finally, from Guatemala City, Guatemala, please welcome Edwin Martinez.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Farm Direct partners.
There's been so many things that's held us down.
Thank you. We love you. Have a great rest of your day.
I know we've got
What an amazing journey Obis has been on. A name, a face, and a place for every cup of coffee. This is fantastic. One more round of applause. And with that, our morning session is coming to a close. Please, on your way out, grab yourself a cup of coffee, visit your vendors, head to your breakout sessions, and we'll see you back here at 11:45 for our afternoon. Have a great morning.
Every word I say,